Welcome to the Undergraduate Research Symposium. The way this is going to work is that we'll do introductions a little bit, but the way this will work is that I'll present along with America a short rundown of what you should be including in your posters, how to create your posters, and then we'll spend the rest of the time for like a workshop style where if you have any feedback for your own poster drafts, we'll work with you to help you and make those better. And if you have any ideas, we're also willing to work with you to make those ideas into like a poster presentation draft. So yeah, this whole block is for you. And so we're going to start with their presentation, and then after that, if you have any questions or any personal questions about your specific poster, then stick around and we'll answer those. So yeah, so before we begin, I'm going to start off with the land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge that this land, which is named for the Ute tribe, is the traditional ancestral homeland of the Shoshone, Paiute, Goshute, and Ute tribes. The University of Utah recognizes and respects the enduring relationship that exists between many indigenous peoples and their traditional homelands. We respect the sovereign relationship between tribes, states, and the federal government, and we affirm the University of Utah's commitment to a partnership with Native nations and urban Indian communities through research, education, and community outreach activities. Here at the Office of Undergraduate Research, our mission is to facilitate and promote undergraduate students, faculty, collaborative research, and creative works in all disciplines throughout the University of Utah campus. If you want to find out more information, the link is on the slide with the QR code. But essentially, all in all, we are here for you. We are here for your undergraduate research success and to make sure everything goes smoothly for your research. So our presenters today, I'm Kishan. I'm a current senior at the University of Utah. I will be graduating with computer science and biology in this coming spring. And I have office hours from Friday to 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. If you ever want to do undergraduate, student advising for 15 minutes, whether it's poster related questions or just any research related questions for undergraduate research, you can book an appointment with me and I'm more than happy to meet with you with that. And my co-presenter will introduce herself.
My name is America. Nice to meet you guys. I'm currently a senior at the University of Utah, and I am getting a degree in biology and then philosophy of science as well. As Kishan mentioned, we do hold office hours. So if you'd like to schedule office hours with me, I am available from Monday at 10:30 to 12 and Thursday from 2:30 to 4. There we go. So one thing to talk about symposiums, it is just an amazing opportunity to really get yourself out there. So you can connect yourself with other people and other faculty members if you're planning on going to graduate school or continuing research in whatever capacity. This is a great way to meet other people and make those connections. And specifically to be able to promote yourself as an employer, as a student, and as a researcher. And it's also a great opportunity to learn from other students because whether it's an oral presentation, a poster presentation, or a performance, you can go and see what your peers are doing and learn from that and maybe even apply some of those techniques to your own research. So specifically within connecting to others, promoting yourselves, and learning from others, for connecting to others, being able to have some form of like readily available, whether some people, if you have cards or a QR code on your phone or print it out or email, any of that people can contact you later in the future is very helpful so you can help stay in touch. And also don't be afraid to talk to new people. Don't be afraid to flag someone down and ask them a question. Bring them over to your poster to talk about your research. That's a great way is by kind of getting out there, even though it can be uncomfortable at times. And then promoting yourself. So make sure you wear professional attire and then you also conduct yourself professionally throughout the day. Because if someone sees you later, they might be, hey, that's the person that did this research. That's what you're known as. And make sure that you represent yourself and your institution and your lab appropriately and responsibly. For learning, if you bring a notebook, sometimes you can write down maybe a paper that's referenced or a certain technique that you want to use, or write down a way to contact another person. That's one way, that's great. And then make sure that you can also engage by asking questions, talking to people, and get more out of this learning experience. Okay, so now talking about different undergraduate research symposiums as opportunities that are offered through this office, through the undergraduate research office. There is one in the fall, which the registration deadline is December 1st, and this is virtual only, so it would not be in person. And we'll get to that a little bit later to discuss exactly what that means and what it looks like in different formats. We have 2 in-person ones that are in the spring and in the summer. And the registration deadlines are still to be announced for that point in time, but you are more than welcome to scan this QR code that will take you to our website where all of this information is located, so you can figure out when a symposium that you would want to participate in is. If you are looking to go a little bit farther than a symposium on campus, there are ones for the state, and then there's ones that are national. So the Utah Conference for Undergraduate Research, also referred to as UCUR, abstract submissions are due tomorrow, and then you would need to register by the 1st. And it is located at Southern Utah University, and that would be in February on Friday, February 28th. For the national symposium, so NCUR, the National Conference for Undergraduate Research, if you're interested in that, you would have to submit an abstract by December 6th, and the registration would be due on March 7th. And this one would be in April, from April 7th to 9th this next year in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. For these, if you're looking for traveling to them or certain fees that may be associated with that, such as lodging, you would have to figure out how to fund that. Shout out to the undergraduate office does have opportunities for funding and travel grants to look into.
Yeah, so when it comes to poster presentations, our website provides a lot of poster templates. You can check out on the slide on the website. But when you're creating your poster, ideally you want to do it as one big slide in through Google Slides, Canva, PowerPoint, and you want to resize the canvas/slide to 36 by 48 inches. This is important because you keep a lot of the high resolution quality for text information and images. And it also, when you're making your poster on this one big slide through this platform, when you print it out, it also will just format a lot easier for printing. So this is the standard convention, and this is actually the dimensions we use for our symposiums here at the University of Utah through our office. You also want to make sure you use high quality images, so 150 to 300 DPI, and save the slide itself as the highest quality. So ideally, this is anything above 300 DPI. When you're presenting for the fall symposium, when you're recording it, you can record it through Zoom. There's another software called Open Broadcast System, otherwise known as OBS. This is it's a little bit more complicated, but it does make, using like microphones and audio and the quality of your video a lot better than what Zoom would do. So I would recommend Open Broadcast System, but if it's like, oh, this is too much, then I would just stick with Zoom. And then if you're just doing like an audio submission, you can again use Zoom, Google Voice Memos, or Google Slides has an option to record your own voice while you're presenting the slides. To upload, we want a YouTube link or a SoundCloud link if it's an audio file. And then, yeah, like I said, we also want to see an image of your poster in a .jpg file. So this also includes a link to your SoundCloud audio if you're not doing a poster, or a link to your YouTube video of your 3 to 5 minute presentation on top of your poster. As for oral presentations, projector and screen TV will be available. So this is for spring symposium, because that's one is in person. And so when you're creating it, you want to ideally make it 15 minutes. You also do the same through Google Slides, Canva, and PowerPoint. Again, keep the images high quality and save save your slide itself as the highest quality. You also want to use visual aids if you're going to use some at all to help enhance your presentation. Bring a laptop and any necessary adapters, and ensure proper connection to the projector before the oral session begins. You want to upload your PDF file of the slides with the presentation slides, and then also again a link to your YouTube video of your 15-minute presentation or narrated slides, or a video of you presenting your slides. performance presentations. Request at the time of registration, the Office of Undergraduate Research will work with performers to arrange appropriate spaces so that you can do performance presentation here at the Union. And when you present, your performances may be up to 18 minutes long. So performers must provide their own equipment. So this may include instruments, speakers, props, whatever you need to do your performance presentation. We do also require a link to your YouTube video of your performance up to 15 minutes and an artist statement up to 2,000 characters long. And again, I do want to note that this is just for spring because spring undergraduate research symposium that we host is in person, but the fall that we host is virtual. For visual arts presentations, upon request of the registration, you want to request it through our office so that we'll work with you to arrange appropriate spaces for the exhibition of your students' work of your own work. And when you present it, visual art presentations may choose to present an oral or poster session. So this is up to you. And then again, same thing as the performance presentation, we want a link of your performance up to 15 minutes long and artist statement up to 2,000 characters long. When it comes to designing your poster, what you want to do is, so this is sort of like a pseudo like formatted way of how you want to design your poster. So usually conventionally in the top left corner, you have your introduction. So explain why the problem or question matters, who does it impact, highlight any personal motivations, right? Like why did you want to research this if it has any personal ties? What interested you? And when you do your presentation, that way it engages any viewer, any listener, and it provides a more personal touch to it on top of your introduction. With the methods, ideally you want, or conventionally they have been, most people put them in the bottom left corner in their own section, and you explain what and why methods, specific methods were used. You want to ideally use a clear and concise flowchart. A flowchart is a lot easier to visually understand what's going on than it is to explain in text what you did. I promise you, not everyone will be reading every single text of your poster. And so therefore you want to be using visuals in every way you can. And methods is one great place to do that because a person looking at your visual should just be able to understand what you did in your project if it's done correctly. And then also share some of the challenges you face in your methods, right? I'm sure there have been some hurdles and roadblocks you may have faced. Talk about what you did and more importantly, what you did to overcome it. This is important, especially when you talk to faculty members or, potentially grad schools that you're reflecting upon the research, what exactly you're doing. And you're intuitively thinking about the methods that are taking place and whether or not they are working. Results, a lot of people put images and their result images and any subsequent images in the middle. So it doesn't have to be in this direction or in this exactly in the middle, but conventionally, like, results come in the form of images for some people and they do come in the middle. So when you talk about results, what did you find out? And how do they compare to what is already known? And then when you're talking in your presentation, reference your plots and figures. So when you're talking about your results, it's good to note, like, to reference a specific plot that you have in your poster or a specific figure you have in your poster and what exactly it's trying to depict. And then in the discussion, conventionally, it's been on the right side for most posters. So where does your research lead from here and what future work is needed? So sort of discuss the future direction of your specific research project. And then acknowledgement. This is important because I'm sure there are a lot of people that have helped you to both, supervise your project and or, make sure it was done successfully. So you want to acknowledge anyone who has helped you out, any collaborations, any support, or any sources of funding. If you did this project under Europe funding, this is the place to highlight that you were a Europe Scholar for this semester and note that through there. Also list some major works you've cited at the bottom or the side of your poster. Most importantly, the most notable ones that have contributed to your particular research in this case. Some people use QR codes just for the acknowledgements if they don't have room. This is a great way to save space if you don't have room to like put out all the major works you've cited or any or acknowledge like a lot of the people that you do want to end up thanking. Cool. So now we're going to go over some poster examples and what to do and what not to do. So this is an example of a poster and we'll go over why this is something you shouldn't do. So if you look at this at first glance, you can see that there's a lot of text. It's way too text heavy, way too text dense. The text is way too small too, and there's way too many images. It's overwhelming. And when I'm reading it, I'm not going to read every single aspect of your poster. And I think it does more harm than good to have just this much information. So if we go over this, this is a good visual, but yeah, you don't need to put on your full abstract. Just summarize your introduction and what question you're trying to answer, and what are any relevant background information that's important, but you don't want to redo your whole abstract on your poster. And like it says here, it's too small and too much. So you don't want to make your text too small. It should be readable from a distance away. And again, like here, in these figures, the captions are not aligned with the figures. You want to keep good margin spacing if you're going to divide it into sections. And this is not good margin spacing at all. You don't want to cram your text information. And here we see the acknowledgements actually being cut off. So this is not a good poster at all. And we'll go over now some poster awards from last year.
Hi guys. So we have a couple of different poster examples for you guys to go over, because depending on what field you're in, your research will look a lot different, and that will give you different opportunities to represent your data, your results, and overall your poster. So here, this one was an award-winning poster in the spring of 2024. So as you can see, there's not a whole lot of words. It looks really pleasing. There's good margin spacing. The text is not super small to try and fit a lot of things in there, and it can catch your eye kind of as you glance by, and then you can look and really easily understand it from there. So here is another winning one. And so another thing to notice is the really nice use of colors. So here in these diagrams, as you're walking by, you might kind of be pulled in from the colors. And this is also a really standard setup. And you can see the template of this on our website. And there's also templates on the Marriott Library website as well. So here you have a nice 3 columns with big images in the middle, because the most that you want to have for your poster is those images to really bring people in. And then once I look at it, I can read those words and kind of see and understand the research from there. Here's another one that is great because you are able to really visually see. And so for art, it shows the development of the sketch to the revision to the final image. And so if you're someone walking by, again, those colors, this whole process is really enticing and good to look at, even though it has less text because it is an art picture. It still matches that really good formatting, where down here you can see that it has this acknowledgement with the proper logos. The text is really easy to read, and they have even margin space throughout the poster. Okay. Some additional tips on presenting and just being at the symposium. So one, if you're presenting, you're going to be talking for a long amount of time, whether that's for your performance, for your oral presentation, or even if you're just standing there for a long time at a poster and engaging with a lot of different people. So I encourage that you bring a water bottle, kind of help, and staying hydrated never really hurts. The next thing is wear comfortable clothes and shoes. It is professional attire, but please make it comfortable professional attire, because you will present better when you are comfortable, and you might be walking around, seeing other posters, going to different presentations. And so you will be on your feet a lot, and we want to save you some pain there. So make sure to wear comfortable shoes and clothes. Also, it can get loud sometimes, especially if you're in a poster session. There's people on either side of you also talking. It can get a little bit loud, so make sure that you speak really clearly. And even if it isn't in a very crowded room, making sure that you speak clearly will help everyone in your audience really understand and have that impact on your research. And last but not least, this kind of goes with speaking clearly, is make sure that you know your audience and adjust any jargon. So as I mentioned, and we had all of these different slides for different fields that people have experience in. something might seem like common knowledge to you, but someone in a different field doesn't really know anything about it. So make sure that you're using applicable and accessible language. And that is our presentation. So good luck on presenting, and we have time to take any questions from you guys.
There was a question in the Zoom room that I just wanted to highlight for you all and hear what you have to say about this. Hello, folks, Dr. Fukushima. The question came from a person earlier where they wanted to know choosing between a poster versus an oral presentation. And so that was earlier in the chat. So how do you choose between doing a poster presentation versus an oral presentation? What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, so I think it just depends on what you want out of it, right? So there's two ways. Like we said, oral presentations, it'll be recorded and you will have your own space to do your presentation orally. And so this is a great way to present to an audience if you want to if you want practice presenting to an audience. And then if you want to do a poster presentation, it's more just people walking by and talking to you like formally or informally, whether that's undergraduate students and other faculty members. So it really just depends on what you want out of it. If you want practice speaking to an audience, oral presentation is probably the best way to go about it. But if you want to talk to people one-on-one and be able to talk to specific people within departments about your research or other undergrads, actually poster session might be better because then you're practicing skills in which you're communicating. Your communication skills towards an undergrad is going to differ from communicating to someone who's a faculty member in your own department or in a different department too. So these are all they're both equally valuable, and they're both have their own benefits in a way. But yeah, I would say it's more what you want out of it. I would honestly, whichever one you think you have a bigger weakness in, then is what I would suggest you do, because then you can get practice and improve that.
Yeah, and then Kashan, I just want to add to that in case if folks just maybe want some clarity, is that for the poster presentation, it's very common in STEM and medicine fields to do poster presentations. Oral presentations at national conferences, really you're speaking to an audience, and usually that time is curated. So it's somewhere between an hour to an hour and a half for a panel. And so oftentimes that time limits how much you can speak. And usually it's kind of equal amongst the speakers. And at the end, people will ask you questions, but they may not actually ask you questions if they're more intrigued by one of the other presenters. It kind of depends on the kind of audience that comes to that. But with oral presentation, if you participate in oral presentation at our undergraduate research symposium at the U, you really do need to invite people to it because most people tend to attend the poster presentation session since there's just a lot of people circling, mingling. You can easily float through the space and see a range of presentations. And so that's something about, I think, the difference in experience with a poster presentation versus an oral presentation. Traditionally, people are just sitting in the room listening to all the presenters and then ask questions at the end.
I saw something from Brandy. Most of the information so far has been focused on the in-person experience. Can you talk more about the virtual event? Yeah, so the fall symposium, the way we do it is that you pre-record your presentation and then you upload your recording to us. And then what we do is we upload those recordings online so that other people can view it. It is your responsibility, or it's on you to share it to the people that you want to share it to, and especially to your faculty members and your family members. So
if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to go ahead and give it. Can I take over, Kashan?
yeah, go ahead.
I want to take over. I can't help myself because I just want to make sure that folks can see some examples. And so if you actually go to the OUR website, I'm going to show you this here, which Shelley put in the link, our.utah.edu/URS. So she showed you that, but I'm going to show you specifically if I can figure out how to get my window. So when you go to our website, you'll see here it says previous symposia. Every year we have this available, and you can find here that if you go back to 2023, that was the last time we had a virtual symposium. So when you check this out, you can actually see the kinds of examples of presentations that students did. It includes our poster, and it also should include a auditory kind of presentation. And so if it was missing that, then the poster is kind of, or a video, right? So students could have done a video. You see that here with this one. It also has a description. Let's just take a look at maybe further down here at this one. This one has an audio and it is accompanying that poster. So they did both. And this is because in this experience, really, you're not going to have people walking by. So how do they know what you think and what you're saying about your presentation? And so these auditory kind of contents intended to help give more context to the presentation. So I encourage you to check it out because this is how it looks. And actually what happens is that the office actually sends a message out to our deans, our associate deans, and the chair of the department, and invite them to attend this virtual symposium, and encourages them to connect and share also that their student is presenting at this virtual symposium. So it is messaged out to a range of leadership on campus as well as to college and department. So just wanted to share that. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing.
Yeah, if I can also add to that a little bit, just an additional benefit to think about because those presentations are posted online and they stay online. You can send those to people to show research that is readily available versus you can, if it's an in-person, you could say, oh, I presented at this time, but this way that presentation is preserved for you to continually share throughout your career.
Yeah, and then one thing in preparation for your recording, when you're seeing previous symposium, you can sort of notice like what's working, what's not working, right? So when you listen to other people's presentations, take a moment to see like what information is sticking and what they're doing well and what they're not doing well. And then use that as a way to sort of guide your own recording for your own presentation. So if you go to this website that we have on our slide, and then you go to virtual presentation guidelines and click on that, you can expand on some of the guidelines that we have in order to submit to the virtual symposium. So like we've discussed here, we need a JPEG file of your poster. And then we also need a link to your SoundCloud audio or a link to a YouTube video of your 3 to 5 minute presentation. I think the best way is honestly a link to your YouTube video. That way you can sort of use a cursor and your own face recording to visualize your presentation. But a SoundCloud recording or just an audio recording is totally fine too. But we do want to recommend you use a YouTube video. That way, when you're talking about your own presentation, that it's a lot more engaging to the viewers, and also you can use your cursor to sort of pinpoint, when you're talking about methods, what figures you're talking about, when you're talking about results, which pictures you're talking about in your poster. And we also have some guidelines for oral presentations, performance presentations, and visual arts presentations. So if you can always check this information out on the website, and like it says here, all virtual presentations will be available to view at 9 p.m. of the date of the event. So then from then on, you are more than welcome to share it to the people you want to share it to. There's one other thing where Rosalina said, I didn't know you could include a photo of the researcher on the posters. Yeah, so this is more of a personal touch. Like if you want to include I think the example was here, but if you want to include a picture of it, I think this is a great way to, that way if people are viewing it online, they know they have a face to put to your poster. So I would recommend it if you have space. And it's a great way to really visualize, like sort of, again, to put a face just to your poster. So now if there's no other questions, we're going to open it up to anyone who just wants feedback in general on their posters and draft, or if they have any questions about their specific research project, and if they're trying to make a poster, we're more than happy to answer that for the rest of the time. And then I do want to bring everyone's attention to the OUR education series on creating posters. Shelly did put it in the chat, but if you take a look at the bottom of the site, there is a YouTube education series, data visualization and research posters, and it's an hour-long education series that sort of goes over how some basic guidelines and making your poster and templates to start out, as well as like using color theory and and whatnot.